Welcome on board to our fifth lesson on the introduction to computing. Introduction to computing, and we are going to look at this time around concept like the generations of computer, the various generations of computer. So generations, when we talk of generations, we talk about how computer evolve from one level of computer to another level of computer. So basically, there are totally five computer generations, a total of five computer generations known to date. Each generation has been discussed in detail along with their time period and characteristics. Here, approximate dates against each generation have been mentioned, which are normally accepted. For the following are the five generations of computers. So we have generations of computers. The first generation of computer, which consists of what? The computers they were made up of what? Of vacuum tubes. They were made up of vacuum tubes, and the period in which they were generated was from 1946 to 1959. That's the time period in which the first generation of computer were designed, and it was made up of vacuum tube. Then we'll go now to the second generation of computer, in which it was made up of transistors, and the year in which they were designed was from 1959 to 1965, and it was based on transistors. And we'll move on to the third generation of computer, which was made up of what? Integrated circuit. Was made up of integrated circuit ICs, and it was designed in the time period of 1965 to 1971. We move on to the fourth generation of computer, in which it was designed in the 1971 to 1980s, and it was made up of what? Very large scale integrated circuit, which we call it the microprocessor period. And we move to the fifth generation of computer, which was designed between which was designed from 1980 to nowadays. We have the fifth generation, and it was made of ultra large scale integrated circuit. And this was a time in which the computer were made of what? Artificial intelligence. Intelligence. That's what I talk about. The fifth generation of computer, everything was designed with the concept of being to function automatically in a way that a person must not be there for the system to function. You can be at a distance and there's a problem with the system, and you check the problem, and the problem will be detected to you, and you can use the idea of the software. With the software you can detect the problem and troubleshoot the problem at a distance, and the problem is solved. That has to do with the generation of the computer. So we have seen the first generation of computer, the second generation is the third generation, the fourth and the fifth generations of computer. So we are going to take the generation of the computer now, brief in a detail. With the first generation of computer, I will look at some major features of the first generation of computer. We have features like vacuum tube technology. This is the vacuum tube technology. It was unreliable, supported machine language only, very costly, generate a lot of heat, slow inputs, slow input and output device, a huge size, it was too big, need of ease, it will produce a lot of heat, non-portable, it could not be carried from one place to another, consume a lot of electricity as it produce a lot of heat. Some examples of first generation computers are ENIAC and EDVAC. So these are examples. Also, we have first generation computers like the UNIVAC, IBM 701, IBM 650. All those are examples of the first generations of computers. We move on to the second generations of computers. We already talk about the date in which they were created and what they were made up of. We move directly to the characteristics of the second generation of computers. It made use of was made up of transistors, like we can say as the first point, reliable in comparison to first generation computer. Of course, it's reliable when you compare to the first generation of computer. Smaller in size as compared to the first generation computers. Generate less heat as compared to first generation computer. Consume less electricity as compared to first generation computer. It's faster than the first generation of computer. So these are the characteristics of the second generation computers. You know there is always a difference between the first and the second, of course. We move on to the third generation computer. I'll take a break and we're going to look at some examples of second generation of computer before we move on to the third generation. Examples are IBM 1620, IBM 7094, CDC 1604, CDC 3600, UNIVAC 1108. All these are examples of second generation of computers. We move on to the third generations of computers, which we saw that it was made up of what? A very large scale integrated circuit. Was made up of integrated circuit, not large scale integrated circuit. And we said, what are the characteristics of this generation of computers? The main features of the third generation are uses ICs, more reliable in comparison to previous two generations, smaller in size. Like you can see the picture, that's the picture of the third generation computer. We say smaller in size, generate less heat, produce less heat compared to the first and the second generation. It's faster, lesser maintenance, still costly, AC needed, consume lesser electricity, support high level language. What are some examples of this generation of computer? IBM 360 series is an example of a third generation computer. Honeywell 6000 series, PTP personal data processing, IBM 370/168 is an example of a third generation computer. We have TDC 316. Oh, that's that with the third generation computer. The features are the examples of the third generation computer. We move on now to the fourth generation computer. The fourth generation computer was made of what? Ultra large scale integrated circuit, which is a type of artificial intelligence. What are the features of this generation of computer? So here you can look at this how it looks like the picture of the fourth generation computer. And the characteristics are uses very large scale IC technology, very cheap, portable, uses of PCs, very small in size, pipeline processing, no AC needed, concept of internet was introduced, great development in the field of networks, computers became easily available. What are some of the examples of this type of computers, the fourth generation computers? We have the DEC10, Star 1000 examples. We have the PDP-11. We have the Cray. One we have the Cray XMP. Okay, that is how the fourth generation computer move on to the fifth generation of computer, which we are now into it. Was made up of what? Artificial intelligence. Uh, we see that you have artificial intelligence, which include robotic, neural networks, gameplay, development of expert system to make decisions in real life situations, natural language understanding and generation. So that is it. That is it. That is it. What are the features of the fifth generation of computer? What are some of the features? The features of this fifth generation computer. Yeah, ultra large scale technology, development of true artificial intelligence, development of natural language processing, advance in parallel processing, advance in superconductor technology, all of that. What are some of the type of computer that are involved in the fifth generation? We have the desktop, laptop, we have the notebook, ultrabook, we have Chromebooks. All those are examples of fifth generation computer. Thank you for your time. We are going to continue with the next lesson that has to do with types of computing, types of computers, and how they are used. So we are going to continue with that. Thank you for your time. You are free to comment on the video, comment, you check it, subscribe, uh, stay blessed. Thank you. God bless you.